So yesterday you saw the first of the 3 documentaries I'll be posting that I made for Under Armour. That first one was of Dakorien Moore, and we filmed it down in Dallas, Texas. This was my first documentary that I made, so we'll be covering 4 lessons that I learned from filming this specific documentary. Lesson number 1 is about the story being told in the in-between moments. Lesson number 2 is why we did all of the interviews at the very end. Lesson number 3 is coming to terms with the fact that we will always have constraints. And lesson number 4 is how you can use natural light to your advantage. Also, why it's better to have great audio and good visuals than have great visuals and bad audio. Let the story be told in the in-between moments. It's very easy to just fall back on knowing you're gonna have interviews with a bunch of different people and you can tell the entire story through their lens. The first time that I filmed one, the one that actually isn't gonna end up coming out, which I'll probably explain why that all happened and whatnot, I right away was thinking the entire story would be told through the lens of the interview, but you wanna prove it to the viewer. And in my case, we only had a few days to film this, so we only had the opportunity for 1 interview. Sometimes whenever people are doing feature-length documentaries, they will record multiple interviews over a course of time. So they will interview now, and then something will happen, and then they'll do an interview after that, and then another thing will happen, and they'll do another interview, so that they have the in-between moments and they have the interview points. Which leads me into lesson number 2, which is always do the interviews at the end. This is after you built rapport with the athlete or whoever you're filming with. In this case, we already went to the track meet with Dakorien. We shot the camp with him. I met his mom, I met his coach. We got all of the moments. So my questions, while they do rely on the research that I did before we got down there and the calls that we had with Dakorien and his mom, it relies on what I know we already got, because I can't tell a good story unless I have visuals that will complement those interviews. I want everything to go hand in hand. So doing the interview at the very end allows you to know and still have it very fresh in your mind what happened and what you got, and then also give them the clarity of saying, once we're done with this interview, you are done and you are free to go. Lesson number 3, you will always have constraints and you need to reframe your thinking to use them to your advantage. Yes, we can all sit here, script everything out, do all the research in the world, but it's unrealistic to think that nothing is going to happen off of script. It's kind of the fun of documentary filmmaking. For Dakorien's, we went to the track meet with him. Prior to being at the track meet, we had to talk with his athletic director. The athletic director told us that we were cool to film with Dakorien, but we couldn't show any other athletes and couldn't have any other talking moments with the other athletes. We had to work with what we got. So right away, I was really frustrated because we also knew that Cade Durham, who is now a running back at LSU, he was on the track team. So that would be a great face to also have in the video, but we can't do it. So what are you gonna do? So now I knew I was gonna have to prompt Dakorien with questions because I wasn't gonna be able to rely on his conversations with his teammates or with his coaches really. I would need to really curate that, which ended up getting me some really good moments, like early in the documentary, whenever you hear him talking about how he got into track.
So I was running from whoopings. Mama found out that I was fast. She threw me in track since I was like 5'4".
Or during the rain delay, whenever he talks to the camera, or after the rain delay when they're stretching out again.
Football weather, bro. When it get cold, they're like, oh yeah, this football weather. No, I'm ready to go home. It's too cold.
These were moments that I might not have gotten if I was relying on him to talk to the other athletes, but since I had those constraints to work inside of, it ended up benefiting the whole film. Now lesson number 4, and this one's more of a visual one. It has 2 parts to it. Finding natural light and a little bit of audio. We'll start with the natural light. For all of these documentaries, I did not bring a single light, so I had to get creative. For Dakorien's, the interviews probably couldn't have turned out much better because of the setting that I was in, but a lot of times I can't scout the location. So I show up and then I'm thinking, the wheels start turning. What chairs am I gonna use for the interview? Where am I gonna do it? And finding natural light can a lot of times save you. I wanted it to be cinematic. So for Dakorien's, you see the light on one side of his face, dark on the other side, and for some of it, actually the long extended part where you hear him talking about dropping the pass, you'll see the light turn off in the background because they were all motion censored behind him. I'm a solo filmmaker. There's only so much I can do. It actually didn't annoy me too much, but it was a nice hair light. But those are the things that you're working with. But using natural light can help combat that. There was a whole garage door that was shining light onto him, but with that garage door being open comes to my second point of this lesson. Great audio and good visuals is better than bad audio and great or amazing visuals. You can see on his coach and on his mom, you can see the microphone. If there's anything that drives me crazy, it's just that. Does it lower the production value a little bit? Yeah, probably, but is it better than having scratchy audio on a shirt or having audio that has wind noise in it? 100%. At the end of the day, nobody really cares about a microphone showing. If I can hide it, I'm going to try my absolute best to hide it. But it's okay. And I need to remind myself of that because I am a solo filmmaker. I need to figure it out. So those are 4 lessons I learned from filming Dakorien Moore's documentary. This one I was really happy with, but I'll be honest, it's my second favorite. My favorite's coming next week. So you wanna make sure you're here for that and subscribe if you're not already. Appreciate you watching these and watching all of my videos. See you next week.